Radhe Radhe. Today is Saturday, 7th February 2026. Here we are to present to you this recap video for today's Bhagavad Gita study session. And so here with me is Mummy.
Radhe Radhe.
We are continuing along our journey of chapter 12. And so as I bring up the screen, you'll take a look at the cover slide showing that we covered chapter 12 verses 15 and 16 today. As always, after the usual recap quiz, which was for last week's content on chapter 12 verses 13 and 14, which if you remember, they appear together in Swamiji's Holy Bhagavad Gita. If you take a look at the description for this video, you'll get the usual links for these slides you're seeing on the screen and a lot of other supplementary reference material. So we encourage you to take advantage of that. With that now, we get started with chapter 12, verse 15.
Yasmano dvijate loko, lokano dvijate chayaha, harshamarsh bhayo dvaigaihi, mukto yasa cha me priyaha.
Chapter 12, verse 15 has the catchphrase, "Fear not, dear." So just some words of encouragement, but again, to the devotees who are dear to Sri Krishna. He says they are free from fear, they are free from anxiety. So fear not, dear, of course, devotees of Sri Krishna. Continuing in this series of these few verses, as we have seen, this is also another set of qualities that Sri Krishna lists out of devotees who are very dear to him. So he talks about those, of course, who are not a source of annoyance to anyone. They don't trouble anyone. They see God seated in everybody, and they can't think of harming anyone. In contrast, or ironically, others may still hurt these devotees. They may oppress them, but the same devotees do not get agitated by that set of troubles or oppression. There's many examples we have seen of saints in the scriptures who have gone through a lot of difficult situations, yet stayed unmoved, or as we said in the class, be better than the others, rise above the rest. Swamiji also quotes here Jesus, right, from the book of Luke, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Again, the element of forgiveness we saw from last time, kindness, compassion, all these are important qualities that Sri Krishna enumerates for devotees who are dear to him. We've seen this often, equal in pleasure and pain. Again, there are ups and downs in life, trials and tribulations, ebbs and flows. Those favorable and unfavorable circumstances, Mummy has reminded us, they'll keep coming. They balance perhaps, they offset one another at different points in time, but these are chances to strengthen our devotion to the Lord. And again, free from fear, free from anxiety. When we are surrendered to God, we have full faith in our devotion and in His care and protection. Then no harm, we know, comes to us from a spiritual standpoint. Everything is for our growth. It is all under the protection of the Lord, and there's no need to have fear or anxiety. Swamiji also quotes here, of course, from the Srimad Bhagavatam we discussed in the class about the qualities of the celestial gods manifesting in these devotees who are dear to Sri Krishna. So again, continuing that list, chapter 12, verse 15 here, we get few more qualities of devotees who are dear to him. Next, let us take a look at chapter 12, verse 16.
Anapeksha shuchirdaksha, udasino gata vyathaha, sarvarambha parityagi, yo madbhakta same priyaha.
Chapter 12, verse 16, with alliteration, has the catchphrase purely personal. Because as we saw in class, one of the qualities that is described by Sri Krishna is to be pure, both externally and internally. And again, there are many other qualities mentioned, again, for devotees who are dear to Sri Krishna, who are personal to him. So purely personal, chapter 12, verse 16. Here, the qualities that we see are to do with being indifferent to worldly gain. So you're not troubled or too excited by any kind of worldly or monetary gain because devotees already have or are seeking to get that highest treasure, that is the love of the Lord. Pure, of course, we just talked about it with the catchphrase, externally and internally pure. As we mentioned, Mummy often states this as well. Swamiji has quoted also here, cleanliness is next to godliness. There's that element of keeping your state of mind pure and also purifying or getting away from those internal defects, anger, greed, envy, lust, etc., the sense of proprietorship, ego. So, all that again is a reminder we've started seeing way back from chapter 2, but it's that physical external purity and the internal purity that are traits and qualities of dear devotees to Sri Krishna. Skillful, of course, do all the work you can with the energy and the graces that are upon you. Do them to the best of your abilities. Don't worry about the outcomes. The fruits are for the enjoyment of the Lord. But of course, putting in best efforts for our task, for our dharma, all that again is the mark of a devotee. Without cares is, of course, having faith. We know that God is protecting us. So you have that element of surrender, which comes up later as well. And then being untroubled, which is when you are surrendered to the will of God, you leave the results in His hand as well. Whatever it is, we are subjugating. So this word here, we said you can add or revisit in your dictionaries. It is subjugating your will to the divine will. In a way, it's putting under the domination of God. God's will dominating your will, but in a good way. So that is subjugating. And then finally, being free from selfishness, that element or attitude of caring and sharing, as we often see, performing attitudes or work in service, seva, that concept we all try to involve ourselves in. Mummy, I'll pass it over to you for these two verses for more elaboration and Sanskrit words as well.
Thank you, Gagan. You have explained more or less everything. Let's start looking at the words. The first word from verse 15 is Udvijate. Udvijate means those who get agitated. When somebody tries to annoy you, okay, so then your tolerance is less. And sometimes instead of responding, you react. And then why you react? Because you get agitated. And then because of that agitation, what happens? Udvai gaihi. Udvai gaihi means anxiety. It creates fear and anxiety also in you. Okay, but Krishna is saying that the devotee, you see, this is very special with a devotee. There are other people who are on Gyan path. Okay? They have all the other qualities. They know loads of knowledge, wisdom. They are doing lots of austerities. The only difference is with all that wisdom and knowledge, they can still be quite annoying, okay, which creates agitation for other people. They can be rude, they can use a little abusive language, okay, but a devotee is kind and compassionate, and devotee does not get annoyed, nor does devotee create problems for others. But for a devotee, others will create problem for them. Last time we did see that a jnani may not look at a devotee with so much respect, but devotee is basically very humble, and he or she has very loving and affectionate feelings and emotions for everybody, because the devotee sees God situated in every soul. You see, in every person, a devotee is able to see God. That is why the devotee will not create annoyance for others, and devotee will have more tolerance to go through all these annoyance which is created for him by others. Okay, so from verse 16, let's look at the words anapekshaha. Anapekshaha means a devotee is indifferent to worldly gain. Devotee doesn't care for that, because devotee is all the time attached to God. Okay, devotee's soul is pure and always attached to the all pure supreme soul. So he or she has developed divine consciousness. You're always in that masti, that God's masti all the time. So there is this happiness and joy. So it doesn't matter to a devotee. What is this worldly gain to a devotee? Because when he has gotten so much of bliss of God, then this worldly gain is nothing in front of that devotee. Okay, so devotee has that quality. And then another word is gata vyathaha. Gata vyathaha means untroubled, because the devotee has loads of faith in God, which does not shake in any situation, because devotee is equipoised in pleasure and pain, and always surrender to God, because devotee knows whatever God will do for my good, because devotee has aligned his will with God, and he is in acceptance of everything, because whatever happens for the best. So that is why devotee is gata vyathaha, means untroubled, unshaken, always in equipoise. Okay, and of course here Swamiji has given us this example of Jesus. See, Jesus, he was being crucified. Look at the pain what he was going through. Still, he has love for others. Still, he is praying for others. Still, he is forgiving others, because he was a great devotee, okay, of God. He was like a form of God. That is why he had developed that quality, that these people don't know what they are doing. Oh God, forgive them. Even then, when those people had put him on the cross, they were crucifying him, killing him. But look at his feeling, what he is thinking, because he was the greatest devotee, a form of God only. Also, Swamiji mentions that cleanliness is next to godliness. Okay, so basically, we don't have to worry about all this world. Okay, right? First, we must try, a devotee will try to take care of the environment, keep the place clean. At the same time, a devotee will try to clean his heart also. Why? Because the heart is impurified, okay, by all the defects of lust, anger, greed, envy, ego. Okay, so these are the biggest enemies of the soul, okay, which is what a devotee is more able to get rid of this, because devotee becomes very caring, devotee becomes very gentle, devotee has that feeling of maitraha and karunaha. He is friendly, and loving. He is able to sympathize with others and able to feel the problems of others and try to solve their problems. Okay, devotee is very humble, so he is able to slowly, in incremental steps, able to take care of all these enemies which are bothering all our souls. And then another important word is in verse number 15, Swamiji has quoted from Bhagavatam. Okay, so what is he saying by this verse? यस्यास्ति भक्तिर्भगवत्य किञ्चन सर्वैर्गुणे तत्र समासते सुराः हरावभक्तस्य कुतो महद्गुणा मनोरथे नासति धावतो बहिः. So this is a very important verse from Bhagavatam that Swamiji has quoted in the commentary for verse number 15. Basically, what does it say? That our nature is very pure and uncontaminated. The problem is because of this attachment to worldly material things, it has become impure. Okay? But the moment we attach our mind to God, automatically our soul also, that cover is taken off, and the purity of the soul then shines. What happens, because that God has all those beautiful qualities. If we attach our mind to God, if we engage in devotion to God all the time, okay, rather than running on the chariot of our only intellect. So we may do many transformational techniques, lot of meditation, austerities, reading scriptures, gaining knowledge, but still that purity will not shine forth. That purity of the soul, which is basically uncontaminated, okay, that will shine forth only when we will increase our loving devotion to God, only when we will attach our mind to God. That is when we will develop all these qualities which Krishna has mentioned in verse number 15 and 16. Slowly we'll become selfless, and we will become uh, pure internally and externally, will become indifferent to worldly gain. We will become untroubled because we are fully surrendered to God, having full faith in God, and there will be no fear and anxiety, and we will always be equanimous in pleasure and pain, be it joy or sorrow, be it unfavorable or favorable circumstances, and then we will not be a cause of annoyance to anybody. We will become very gentle and loving in our behavior, because in this world, relationships are the toughest to handle. If we become devotee, we will be developing these qualities in our behavior that will bring peace, joy, and happiness all around us. Over to you, Gagan.
Yeah, thank you, Mummy, for that detailed summary there. So really encapsulates all the different qualities that we've been learning about, of course, in today's session and throughout as well, the past few verses. In fact, let us take a look at the flyer for today's session. The question being, as you dote upon them, can you describe the qualities of Sri Krishna's dear devotees? So, fun exercise that was prior to class and also for your weekend ahead and the next few days. Cute babies described and shown over here, each perhaps, or most of them perhaps, representing a specific quality that is enumerated by Sri Krishna in today's chapter 12, verses 15 and 16. So your exercise is, yes, dote upon them. Dote rhymes with devote in some sense. So understand that when you're done admiring them, pinpoint which single quality in these two verses from today is specific to that, one baby after the other. There's at least one extra that you may think may not match over here. Curious to see what your thoughts there are. But regardless, all the ones shown here are devotees of the Lord. And this will help us visually connect, of course, the set of qualities in today's two verses. So that's the homework for the flyer. I do want to also mention one more thing, which is from last time's content, chapter 12, verses 13 and 14. There's a challenging exercise that you can try as well. This is courtesy Bilji, in fact. And what you need is to look at, again, all the qualities that are mentioned here. Look at just single words. So, presumably, right, look at either the adjective or the noun version of whatever the quality is. And think of which single word is actually a heteronym. So, for many people, perhaps your homework is to look up what a heteronym means. But once you get that, poke around, see in this full verse in its all translation and commentary, one quality that fits the bill as a heteronym. It's a very interesting, good exercise that you can try your hands on. And then that'll help you, in fact, understand part of this also a little bit more. So that's a little bit of additional homework as well. Again, courtesy, Bilji. With that, we
Yeah.
get towards, yeah,
So I will request people to start writing comments on the video also, That will be very interesting. And of course, it can help reach more people.
absolutely. Yep. Again, thank you all for your participation, of course. It's always great to be able to thrive together, as we all say, in this collective audience. And again, we look forward to meeting next time, which is Saturday, 14th February, 2026. Same 8 a.m. Central Time, 7:30 p.m. India time. Till then, thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.